Hey folks, Mike Wickhauser from Team Pautzke here, and I'm going to give you an insider on fishing dough bait. There's a lot of dough baits on the market, and I'm just a big fan of Pautzke's Fire Bait. And I'm going to give you the insider on what to do, how to fish it, how to rig it, and hopefully catch a ton of trout. Depending on what kind of water you fish and what kind of fish you're fishing for, you know, big fish, small fish, you can get away with 4 2-pound tests with smaller fish and smaller waters. Well, I'm going to give you a simple method. You know, a lot of people use it. It's called bottom bouncing. Depending what you're fishing, you know, if you're fishing frog water, I can understand putting a bigger split shot on about 18 inches away from your hook and just letting it plunk out there in the hole. Now, a very effective way too is fishing current. Now, a lot of times I don't like to put a lot of weight on because when you're fishing current, you will get snagged. So read your water a little bit. You know, if you're running water probably 4 foot deep, run a couple small BB shots on it. 2 small BB shots. Like I said, this is a size 12 egg hook. Now, you want enough fire bait just to cover that hook. And a lot of times, if you know, just put it in the water and make sure your hook floats to make sure you have enough fire bait on your hook. Now when you plunk it in the hole, it's very easy. It's the same setup, you know, 18 inches from your hook, and then you just sit there and wait for a hit. Now when you roll the bottom, as in current, you pretty much want to keep your line a little taut and just let it roll those rocks down the bottom, and you'll feel that fish. Your line will either stop or you're just feeling pick it up and just start going with it. And it can be a very effective method to catch a lot of trout all over the world. A lot of times there's fish that either want it in a ball form, or if you want to give it a little more action, take a little bit more and roll it up like a worm. And that worm-like figure sometimes trigger them, and plus, when it's sitting in the current, it's got that more action side to side. And that draws the fish's attention, and it can be very successful. Alrighty, I'm going to give you another very effective way. And I had a very high success ratio doing this method, you know. And not a lot of dough companies you can't do this with. Fire bait, very durable, has great scent, and it doesn't fall off your hook like normal dough bait. Now, a lot of times you can do it with a regular hook or a jig head. Now this is just a regular hook. Now you take a couple split shots and slide it right down to your hook. Take a little dough bait and we're going to roll up that same worm. Now this stuff has great scent, and they have various color too, which is a great line, you know, depending on what the fish want. Now you take this worm, you toss it out there, and you just keep it right off the bottom and twitch it. And with a slow reel, and it's more of like a jig reaction bite is what it does, and it has great scent, and you just can't beat it, you know, and it doesn't fall off the hook. This is my home recipe method right here. Not a lot of people know about this, and I kind of invented it myself. I like fishing this in a lot of frog water, tree jams. Now we're just doing that simple bottom bouncing method again. Now I'm running a little bit longer leader here, and the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm doing a combo method actually. I'm taking a little bit of this fire bait, I'm sticking it right on my line. People ask, why are you sticking it on your line? Well, I'm going to show you why I stick it on my line. Just like that. Now that's about 6 inches above my hook. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm floating eggs on the bottom in dead water. Now I take a little bit of a Pautzke's Natural Deluxe. Depends on what they're hitting that day, but Natural Deluxe has been a really good color. Put it on my hook, just like that. Fire bait above it. Now what that fire bait is doing is keeping that egg right up off the bottom. Now I can bottom bounce in dead water and still fish eggs. Don't have to fish float, you know. It's very effective in log jams because a lot of times you can't fish floats in log jams. It's fish like going underneath the log jams. Plus it's giving it that extra scent and color, you know. You never know, that fish might come up and grab that fire bait too. Well, very effective method, and my secret's out. Alrighty, another very effective method is using a float with fire bait. You know, a lot of people do not run floats with fire bait. A lot of people just bottom bounce it. And I tell you what, it can be a very effective method. Now when I run fire bait underneath a float, I kind of like to run it a little deeper and get that fire bait down towards the bottom, you know. So this is a smaller float. Depending on the rivers that you fish, you know, here in Pennsylvania or all over the world, you know, you don't need much more bigger than a 4-gram float for trout fishing. Now, I like to just rig my float up. Depending on the water, you got to read your water, and depending on your holes, you know, and slip float or bobber stop float, it don't matter. You can still adjust it, and you keep a couple heavier split shots to keep that float stable. And then I tell you what, with fire bait, I put just enough on your hook again, and I like to keep a smaller sinker right down to the top of it, because fire bait does float. So with a float, you're already keeping it suspended off the bottom. You want to keep that fire bait as closest to the bottom as you can, snag free with the float, which is a very effective method too. You know, you don't lose as much gear, and you catch a lot of fish like this, especially when it's moving. Sometimes they do not want it on the bottom. They like that bait moving. And with fire bait, great scent, great colors, great buoyancy, catch a lot of fish this way.